Welcome back to the Realm of Unpopular Opinions. Today we are going to be making a bookshelf tour. Why did I wait this long to make one? Because I got two new shelves in another room because I have no more room in my bookshelves. Like, even the book cart was absolutely full, so I got two more shelves in another room connected to my father's shelves of like comic books and graphic novels. So I am going to be showing you just mine today, obviously. So we're in that room currently. I will show you the two bookshelves that are mine. They're not completely full, so they're very like spread out and decorated, but we will be doing that today. I will be showing you two white bookshelves. I will be showing you my old bookshelves and the book cart, but they're now a lot emptier or rearranged. Like, not much has changed, but enough for me to make this video because I'm finally happy with the layout, because nothing's crowded anymore. There's a lot of room, which is what every single book nerd actually wants. So hopefully the sound quality will be a little bit better, or existent, to be fair. Like, it's not a top quality mic, but it better be louder than the last one. So let's just get into it. This is the layout of the bookshelves. Like, those are my shelves, those are obviously his shelves, but we will be showing you that bit is obviously empty and with other stuff, since my shelves are not really full yet. The first bookshelf remains my Attack on Titan shelf. I moved it here like months ago because I didn't want to have it in my own room, and there wasn't enough space for it. So, like, this is my Attack on Titan shelf. I think it's wonderful how it fits very perfectly here. Like, I get to display the color edition, and it's just very nice looking. Fair warning, if you're someone who likes their box sets, series, omnibus editions to look the same, look elsewhere, because none of my series pretty much look the same. So that's the shelf. It's here. I genuinely have no idea if I'll ever read the series again, but I am very fond of this specific collection because of how I felt when I collected it, I guess. The next shelf, like, this entire shelf is going to be a manga shelf, but I don't have enough here yet to move everything. So this is going to be the Noragami shelf. It fits very well. Like, there's going to be room for volumes 26 and 27 in the end, and I think it's going to fit perfectly, which I actually kind of adore. I think it's going to be very cool when this is just going to be Noragami. Again, omnibus editions, normal editions, what else is new? And we are displaying Noragami because Noragami volume 17, because that's, I think, my favorite cover with two of my favorite characters. And the last shelf on the manga shelf is this. Now, this is kind of a cop-out, really, because Trojan X is a series that's going to grow, so I had to move it here. I wanted to keep it with Tokyo Ghoul, but it was just not going to fit. Like, there's two more volumes I have to get. I think the original, like, Japanese releases are on volume 7 or 8 at this point, so that series is going to grow. So I just put my Ghibli art books here because they look very nice, and while I have room, why not display them? This is just the Wheel of Time shelf. This is obviously not really my shelf, it's kind of his. But since most of his shelves are graphic novels and comics, I wanted the bookshelf to have all the books. This is his collection of the Wheel of Time, and yes, he got rid of the last 3, so I support that. They're hidden on my shelf as well, so yeah, this is the Wheel of Time collection. Without those last 3, like, it fits perfectly, so I don't think anyone's complaining, really. This is the dragon shelf. It's obviously also very empty. Now, I have 2 copies of The Last Namsara, so I shoved the hardcover, like, behind the Book of Dragons, and the paperback is on the right with Aragon and Earthsea. Now, this collection obviously is going to grow, which is why the shelf is kind of loose and falling apart, because book 5 is missing from the collection, and book 4. Book 5 I'm currently reading, book 4 will probably never arrive, and I expect the Earthsea collection to get bigger, so we will also not comment on the different formats because it's a very, very irritating thing. I also put the Book of Dragons here just because it looks good, let's not lie to each other, but I'm never ever speaking about that book again. Then this shelf, it's decorated very chaotically. I put my big books here because, again, they just do not fit on my own shelf, and we've got all the stuff that I don't reach for very often, obviously. I gave him his copy of Lord of the Rings so we can display it here because it's very, very nice. I have, like, my little Count of Monte Cristo abridged edition that my friend got me. I'm keeping it for that reason alone, and some random chaotic stuff. The next shelf has some editions, but that's okay. We have our Dan Brown collection. I wanted to display the Lost Symbol because obviously it's the only hardcover, doesn't fit anywhere. And back there we have the signed Wild Symphony, and this is also signed. And then here we have some books that are like My Soul, Agatha Christie, the extra Dune copy, Stoneheart. Like, this collection will obviously grow because I want to buy more of these books, but it's just a very nice place to display these because the Dan Browns were hidden in my book cart, and I do actually want to read them, but out of sight, out of mind, as they say. This last edition of the shelf is a little bit chaotic, so I don't know how to show this to you, but this is essentially my small TBR. It's been put away here. We have the Conan Chronicles, which you can't like really even see. We have my Witch collection and my Garfield collection. Like, there's nowhere else to put these, so they are safely at the bottom here where they belong, I guess, because for most of them, like, they're not worth a higher ranking position in the bookshelf hierarchy. In terms of my own bookshelves, not much has really changed, so we're fair, but I removed the stuff from the top because it was just getting dusty, and it's honestly a bit of a mess. So I'm going to take you through the shelves. The stuff that's the same, I'm just going to gloss over, obviously, but I did change a few things. This is the bookshelf above the mess. Let's be transparent. This is where I keep all my crap. Literally all my jewelry and all of my crap. So this is the first organized shelf. We have the Harry Potters. I was going to just keep the Slytherin edition, but like, I just kept the paperbacks of the best books. I mean, why not? This is where the Ghibli books used to be, on the right, but now I transferred them over there so you can actually see the covers. I keep my book sleeve here. I keep the Slytherin journal I got in Edinburgh, and I keep my Cressida cowl. I'm going to have to rearrange this when I get more of the How to Train Your Dragon books, but this is where I keep Cressida for now because she just deserves it. She was also buried and buried away. She deserves this position. Now the mess. I'll just very quickly pan this. Nothing has changed here. I just add a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book every year, and The Girl Who Drank the Moon is here. Now we will ignore this. Tokyo Ghoul shelf. Now obviously I had Trojan X here before, but it was just not going to fit because this was not going to be enough room for the entirety of the Trojan X series. So we have this. Also, again, rings and clocks and everything, watches. The reason that I have so much like genuine crap on my shelves is because it's right next to my door. So whenever I come back from an outing or something, I put all my stuff on here. Let's be realistic. So this shelf and this shelf are just going to have a lot of clutter. I don't know what to tell you, but outside of that, I actually love these like little bottles. They're pretty cute. That's glass in there. I don't even know where I found glass that's that blue, but yeah. This shelf is just beautiful, and it deserves its own position. As I said, the Wheel of Time shelf remains the same. Like, it fits the books perfectly, so you don't see the Brandon Sanderson editions, and there's New Spring is covering them. Like, it genuinely fits perfectly, and I love it. I prefer it with the dust jacket somehow, because even though the cover art is horrendous, the covers, the spines do look kind of better, and I still have my Schleich figures up there. Now this shelf is completely full. This time around is genuinely completely full. Like, nothing else is going to fit here. So we have our long series of Sapkowski. These are like the last book and Time of Contempt. I do not want to see those books probably ever, so we're just going to keep them turned around. We have my Catherine Arden, which we're going to get into that in another video, but I think that's all the Catherine Arden that I will be owning. We have all my Grisha, which is pretty much almost half the shelf. Like, it's as much as Sapkowski, I think, and then there's like Catherine Arden in the middle, but I do genuinely actually love the shelf because of how perfectly it fits. I was afraid that these three like weren't gonna fit, but since I'm only gonna read the first one ever again, it's probably very good that it fits so perfectly. Another shelf we are not going to dwell on because there's stuff there, books that I hated, books that I'm not sure about, books that I do like, but I have nowhere else to put. And we have a collection of like 6 of crows and a red queen behind there. We don't need to see that. We have, for some reason, my broken diffuser and ink for the printer, but Maven is always going to be there in front of Red Queen defending my ownership of that series. And we have my name in Chinese. I think it's Chinese, but yeah, we will move on from this shelf. This shelf is a bit less of a mess because like I organized it, but we have my Sherlock Holmes books displayed because I do kind of like the look of them. And we have postcards in front of some of the older books because I really, really need to channel Snow. I miss Snow so much that it's physically painful, but this is mostly like children's books, random classics that my parents collected throughout the years, that I collected throughout the years. Mostly children's books, but yeah, a lot of old editions of classics. This is like a very random shelf, but fun fact, on this shelf, I had a random edition of Jane Eyre that my mother bought, and that's how I read Jane Eyre for the first time, so let's be grateful to dumpster shelves. The Lord of the Rings shelf has not really changed, except for the fact that I gave my dad back his copy. But we have a lot of editions of Lord of the Rings. We have ones in Serbian, in Croatian. I have 2 in English. So yeah, I think behind here we have Lost Tales, I think, or something like it. Here we have my graphic novels, which is probably my favorite bit. This is where we get this graphic novel. I found it and I put it here. It's the best, like, Balkan cottagecore picture book. It's genuinely the best thing ever. I just needed to put it here. And here we have the Dune graphic novels. They're collected chaotically because I'm still missing the 3rd one. Very quickly, let's just go through the Star Wars shelf. There's nothing different in the layout of the Star Wars shelf except books that have like been added. I think that book is new, and maybe one of like the Clone Wars books is new, but basically the only thing that changes on this shelf is like when I buy another book, I just add it to the collection. So let's go to the next ones, which are going to be like the manga big bookshelves. Those are arguably my favorite in my entire collection because the manga that's in my room is just my favorite manga of all time, so it doesn't go into the other room. I need to be able to see it at all times. Now that all the manga has been moved, this is just my favorite shelf. I moved it so all my favorites can be on one shelf. We have Death Note, we have the entirety of my Bungo collection, we have Oramichi, and we have Nausicaa. I needed to find a way to display Nausicaa because it's just so pretty and it deserves to be displayed. So obviously there's room here for this to expand and for the 9th novel to go there, which I am very eagerly awaiting. Death Note is obviously not going to expand, and I'm not going to be buying any more volumes of Bungo, so this is it for the favorite shelf. I do think it looks really good. I love the figurines. Like, I love the mini Death Note. I love Nausicaa, and I love the acrylic stand thing. The acrylic stand thing is not my idea. I obviously saw it online, but I do kind of love the way they look. This is where it gets a bit tricky because the angle is just not the greatest for filming, but this is where all my big books are. They used to be like crowded over there, but now I just have Greek myths, Robert Frost, Ursula, Dune, which I'm currently reading, and Edgar Allan Poe. And then here is obviously the much emptier manga shelf because all 3 of these are going to be expanding. Like this, I'm waiting for volume 12. Natsume I'm collecting very chaotically because a lot of them are not available. And this obviously has like 10 volumes now, so I will have to add to this. And my Nyanko, which is arguably my favorite merch that I've ever gotten, like this small stuffed Nyanko. Like, it's so good. But this shelf used to be full, which is why I think I really kind of put off collecting these because I didn't have anywhere to put them. But now that there's a lot of room to grow, we're going to grow. The only problem is that they're not really the same format, but that's obviously okay. Now, I'm not going to show you the next shelf because it's a mess. It's a mess and there's nothing down there worth seeing, so just assume that the shelf below this one is completely and utterly irrelevant and in worse shape than the other ones because the other ones I actually use, even though I put stuff on them, but that one is just pretty much just a dumpster. This still kind of looks the same, like my corkboard, the Death Note poster, and the book cart. This kind of looks the same, except it's empty now and there's no 2 layers, so let's just start here. As always, these are my favorite books, kind of, because these are my favorite books. This isn't really, and I now have the sequel, which I'm not liking. I did not have anywhere else to put them, but maybe this will be removed. Favorite books, not really favorite books, but again, I didn't have anywhere to put them. Like, I do love this. I didn't love this as much, but assume that most of these are favorite books or books that I did enjoy but have nowhere else to put them. So these are like my prized possessions mostly. So I need to keep them here at all times. This book used to be like TBR behind there, but right now all we have here are classics, and I left room for this to expand. These are the poetry collections, and these are just like the normal classics. I think the only ones I read here are like these three. The rest are all on my TBR. This I have to get to very soon, and I did get rid of Anne Bronte. I just left it in the library, so we have only 2 of the Bronte sisters, but I still don't know if I will ever be reading this. I doubt it, but we're keeping it here. A lot of it are short classics, and it's just a funny observation to me how of all of Charlotte's books, Jane Eyre is the shortest, and I find that hilarious. All I keep down here are like some of my favorite children's books. Like, this is technically also a classic, but not really fitting with the other ones because it's smaller, so I just keep it down here. And these are some of my favorite children's books of all time in general. And in here I have like a beeswax Yoda that my friend made, but his ears broke off, so I do need to glue them together. That is kind of it for the bookshelf tour. I hope it was better. I hope it was visible. There was no flickering lights like the last few times. I hope you could actually hear me without having to put your volume up to 100. So I hope it was better. I hope it was somewhat fun. I didn't pull out any books because that would be very difficult holding the phone camera thing. So I did not pull out any books, but I did try to like point and explain and stuff. If you have any questions about editions or something, do ask me. Absolutely. I love talking about bookshelves because it's kind of you, isn't it? Like, in general, what you like, what you enjoy, if you're a perfectionist or not, because as you can see, none of my series look the same. Every series has that one book that's like taller or another format or straight up a different edition. So I'm obviously not a perfectionist. I'm very happy about that. It cured my OCD to have none of my series look the same. Just let's talk about books. That's the best thing. That's the best thing possible. And bookshelves are kind of a way to discuss aesthetics in a way that isn't irritating the way that most internet aesthetics are these days. So let me know what you thought, and I will see you in the next video.